Troy Willem asks, a ninja.
Dear Ninja, can you make a cell analogy using the nucleus, nucleolus, nuclear membrane, chromatin/chromosome, cytoskeleton in parentheses, microtubules and microfilaments, cytoplasm, mitochondria, ribosome, Golgi apparatus, lysosome, endoplasmic reticulum, vacuole, cell/plasma membrane, centrioles, vesicle, cell wall, chloroplast, and large central vacuole. Love, Troy Willem.
Well, Mr. Willem, it just so happens that I can make a fabulous cell analogy using the nucleus, nucleolus, nuclear membrane, chromatin and/or chromosome, cytoskeleton in parentheses, microtubules and microfilaments end parentheses, cytoplasm, mitochondria, ribosomes, Golgi apparatus, lysosome, endoplasmic reticulum, vacuole, cell and/or plasma membrane, centrioles, and vesicle. Now that one took a lot out of me. The real question is, you're ready for an analogy like that, Mr. Willem? Do ya? Yeah, we both know I'm ready. You look about ready. All right. So where do you want to start? Let's start at the beginning. All right. You want me to make an analogy between a cell and something else. So let's start cooking our noodles right here. What is a cell like? A cell is like it takes in, it has the things over here that are suspended, bubbling up, sort of juggling. The cell is like a monkey because it's like, it can pick up bananas with its hands and its legs, and it has a big, long, apprehensile tail. The cell isn't afraid to crap in its hand and then just fling it right at you. Oh, no. The cell is... That was a terrible analogy, I'm sorry. It's a lot more like... the Autobahn! There's just ribosomes flinging and going, ruffling 150... No, terrible. Nothing like the Autobahn. Mr. Willem, you got me stumped here. You got me jumping around up in here. I don't even know which hand's my right hand and which is... This is a very difficult analogy. I didn't think it would be this hard. But no need to worry. I'm just gonna roll with the changes. We're moving on up. We're gonna keep going and just passing through everything. Everything's gonna be fine. We're gonna move on and make it through. I'm just gonna start at the very tippity top of the whole thing. Johnny, to the top! Up, boys! To the toppermost of the poppermost! Alright, we'll begin with the main organelle. At the very center of every cell. I don't care if it's eukaryotic or pyrocratic. Right in there, it's called the nucleus. Johnny, can you hook me up with a picture of the nucleus? A picture of the nucleus? Sure thing, brother. Alright, I got it. Groovy. Picture of the nucleus. Yeah. Thank you, Johnny. All right. We've got the nucleus. It's at the very center of the cell. It's the control center for all purposes. It tells all the other little organelles that are floating around in the cell. It says, "Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Watch it. Boo. Listen up. Here's the rules of the game. You're gonna do this. You're gonna do this. We're gonna have the vacuole over here bringing stuff here. Vesicles are gonna do this. That's the nucleus's job. His job is to supply everybody else with jobs. And at the same time, he has all this DNA floating around inside of him. He doesn't know what to do with it. He doesn't know what to do. The boat is rocking. He's got this jimbly-jambly flibber-flabber floating. It's like flubber. Just flubber. If you saw flubber, that's what this stuff is doing, but it's not flubber. No. DNA. And the DNA is the blueprints. It gives everybody the idea of, like, how do we make protons? I don't know. Don't ask me. He has the nucleus. He's got the DNA. He's got the chromatin, the chromosomes, whatever you want to call it. He's got it. He's the boss. Chromosomes, the DNA, are like blueprints, like business plans. Businessman. The cell is a business. Cell is a business. All right, let's slow down. I know what you're asking. If the cell is a business, what do they produce? What are they doing up in there? Why is it like a business? It's robots. Now I can hear you. You're just saying, what robots? I don't understand. Think about it this way. You got the nucleus, who's the boss, and you got the plans right up in there. Right even in the very center of the nucleus itself is the nucleolus. The nucleolus is a robot factory. Get your grips on that one. because it's gonna be a mind-boggler later. If you ever saw the movie I, Robot, that place where there's a bunch of robots running around in a factory, that's the nucleolus, a robot factory. Thanks for that one, Johnny. You see, it produces ribosomes, right? Which are, in this case, the robots. I'll give that one away right now. Another analogy, ribosomes are robots. Okay, that sounds crazy right now, but let's beep, let's back it up, because here's the deal. Here we are in the nucleolus, and we're putting all the parts together to create the ribosome. Ah, ribosomes. So, we have the ribosomes, and we're just thinking, we got them, what are the purpose of the ribosomes? The ribosomes, in turn, create proteins. And the proteins are like the tools that the robots make to help the cell. So, let's recap. Alright, the nucleus is the boss of a robot factory that creates robots that in turn produce proteins. A little weird, I know, robots that make proteins, but it's gonna happen eventually. Mark my words, Fahrenheit 451, it's coming. The ribosomes are the robots, and the robot factory is the nucleolus, and the boss is the nucleus. And the plans that are the DNA, and he's given them to the factory to give to the robots to make the protein. Now I know what you're thinking. That's simple, Ninja. A baby could understand that. Now tell me what the nuclear membrane is. How does that fit into your master plan of the cell being a business? First of all, let me say this. You better stop acting like such a whiny McGrumpants before I come in there with a katana and stab you in the throat so fast that your head comes out your foot. Before I come at you with nunchucks and break your skull in super fast. Allow me to tell you to button your lip before you get a shuck into the throat, little mister. Unless you want to get a judo chop to the nose that will make you bleed out of the side of your head. Second of all, let me say to you this. Nuclear wall is like a bodyguard. Yeah, the nucleus is the boss of this big cell business that is so important he actually needs a big tough guy to guard him. He needs a bodyguard to be going through and saying, hey, you can't go into the nucleus, I'm sorry, he's busy today. Or to answer his phone when his wife calls, I'm sorry, the nucleus is not having sex with his secretary right now. He doubles as a secretary. On his resume it says bodyguard/secretary, because he also has to take notes. Like, nucleus, dear nucleus, the ribosomes are doing this today, you should probably do this. Otherwise the ribosomes are going to go crazy and, you know, create bananas that are going to come out of the cell and into the foot of the person who's there and explode their knee. Yeah, banana knee explosions. It sounds ridiculous, but I've seen it happen 50 times. So, the nuclear membrane is the bodyguard. Next! Chicken necks! Alrighty, next up is the microtubules and the microfilaments, baby. Ow! The cytoskeleton. I am pumped for this one, baby. Alright, the cytoskeleton is to the cell. What the cytoskeleton does in the cell is it works as a sort of a shape-keeping mass of bone-like structures that keep it inside the cytoplasm in a certain shape. It's like skeleton! And so the microtubules and microfilaments are a skeleton to the cell. They would be like the infrastructure of a business. They're like the business plan for the week. They keep the business shape. Its general idea of being very organized would be microtubules and microfilaments. Or, you know what, this one I'm going to go a little off track. The cytoskeleton is like a skeleton. You know, if you have to remember what a cytoskeleton does, look at the last half of the word. It's not that hard. It's really not. Alright, cytoplasm. This one's tricky. In a cell, cytoplasm is the goo throughout the cell that keeps all the organelles, all the dealies bubbling up. The juggling thing, like if you see this long-haired, beautiful minstress juggling while riding on a unicycle and singing clamshell backwards, which sounds like then that is what the cytoplasm is like. That isn't a very good analogy at all. You are a tricky devil, Mr. Willem. With a gelatinous goo inside of a cell. How do I relate that to a business? How do I bring that beat back? Bring that beat back to me again. It's something inside the business that keeps all of the constituent, all of the sort of fingers of the hands together. Something where all the workers are together because of this. It keeps them up and doing their stuff. Inside of a business it would be good Management. Yes! Cytoplasm is to a cell as good management is to a business, because it keeps all the parts where they're supposed to be, keeps them on track, staying where they are, floating up in there, being juggled. Cytoplasm, good management. There you go. Yeah, man, yeah, good business. Yeah, it's good management. Cytoplasm's good management. Yeah, I dig that, man. I dig that. I could roll with that. Yeah. Cha-cha-cha. That one, J-Man? Yeah, that was pretty cool, I guess. It was all over that cytoplasm thing. But now we're moving on to the mitochondrion. Mitochondrion is like the power source for the cell. It's like, it takes in food, like whatever might get to the cell. It could be a fruit bowl, had some Mickey D's earlier today, or maybe you had a Heights pastrami sandwich, which is not actually, you wouldn't know what that food is. It's a mixture of dead Italian people's blood all over dead Italian people. It's delicious. But I digress. Mitochondrion takes whatever food that you put into the cell, transfers it into usable energy. What is it like in a business? What is it like in a business? Think like Andrew Carnegie.
Oh, the Laird of Pittencrieg wouldn't let me play in his garden.
A stove! The stove which brings power to the workhouse is just like the mitochondria. Think about it, you got food and you got wood, both useless. What are you going to do with food? Look at it? No, there's one thing you can do with food, that's eat it. Same thing with wood, you can burn it. Well, I suppose you can make a dreidel or a little baby's crib out of wood, but really what's the point? I mean, your kids aren't going to love you for very long anyway. And the food which is analogous to wood goes into the mouth, which, you know, chews things up and goes to the stomach. The food will go into the mitochondrion, just like the wood will go into the stove, and it will come out as energy, be it in the form of raw fire, or whatever form it comes out in the mitochondrion. I don't know, I'm not a cellular biologist. Unlike Troy Willem.
Oh, Troy Willem. Oh, Troy Willem.
Willem, yeah. It's got a nice beat to it. Troy Willem. So next we move to the googly apparatus.
Googly apparatus.
Alright. The googly may have a stupid, nerdy name like, you know, some spaz guy. But the googly apparatus is very necessary to the cell's stuff. The googly apparatus, it takes all of the tools that are made by the robots. Ribosomes. Takes in all of these tools, all of these proteins, it packages them and readies them for shipping out of the googly apparatus. It's like, is a packaging house. So you take in the tools and you package them, get them all nice and wrapped up. Ready to go, little baby. Ready to go on down the conveyor belt! Which is what we call the endoplasmic reticulums. Endoplasmic reticulums, endoplasmic reticulums, embryomadic medallions. The endoplasmic reticulum. Yeah, those. All those are conveyor belts throughout the cell. You take your packaged stuff from the googly apparatus, put it on your conveyor belt, and it'll move it all around the cell, towards the membranes, outside, towards your furnace incinerator, mitochondria, whatever you want to call it. It'll take it there. That's what they are, the smooth and the rough. Both take whatever you want. They'll take lipids, in the case of the smooth, and they'll take proteins in the case. They'll take a lot of things. You know what? Let's not get into details. Conveyor belts, endoplasmic reticulums, end of story! But as ends one tale, so begins a new. And this tale is the lysosome. Yeah! Lysosome is a garbage truck. I don't care what you say, the lysosome's a cool thing. It's not like a garbage truck. Yes, it is. It's a crappy garbage truck. You got the lysosome inside a cell. It takes all the crud you don't want, bacteria, viruses, crap, everything you don't need. It takes it, pushes it to the outside, just like a garbage truck.
Oh my God, what's that smell?
It's that. The frickin' lysosome. It's full of trash. Yeah. So a business hires a garbage truck company to come in and keep taking care of its trash and pushing it to the outside world and building up pollution everywhere else. The garbage truck is the lysosome, the business is the cell. Can we move on from the freaking lysosome now? And now we're to the vacuole, which is this big thing. It's this big. The vacuole is the warehouse where you put your water and your crappy stuff, and good stuff too. You might even store proteins in there for a little while. You might store your hookers in there if you want to keep it on the down low, because it's not exactly street legal. My warehouse, my heart is beating. That's the warehouse. It is the equivalent of the warehouse of the business of the cells, where it puts all of its stuff while it's not using it. A lot of cells have multiple ones of them. Plant cells have one big one, but we'll come back to that one later. Warehouse, oh come over later. Wink. Warehouse, wink. It's not so empty in my warehouse. Wink. In my warehouse. So now we come to another, like, if there's a warehouse and a garbage truck, what takes things from the warehouse? Does the garbage truck? No! Frickin' garbage truck doesn't go into the warehouse vacuum and say, oh, give me your good stuff, I'm gonna bring it to people. Nobody would want it because it stinks like garbage. It smells like Matt McDonald, for crying out loud. No, no, no. There's a special truck for bringing things from a warehouse to where you want it to go. And that truck is called a FedEx truck. Federal Express. No, it's the truck that takes all the good stuff and starts moving it around. It takes the conveyor belts that are the smooth endoplasmic reticulums move stuff around the cell. The FedEx takes things from inside the cell, pushes it out. It's called the vesicle. Sounds like vehicle. I know what you're thinking. FedEx truck is a vehicle. Vesicle is a FedEx truck. Perfect. Transitive property right there. So that's what it is. The vesicle is like, it takes the stuff from the business that is the cell to the outside world. It takes all the products that it's producing, brings it to everybody else. And that's what it does. It's the voice of the cell. It brings everything to the outside world.
Vote vesicle, the voice of the cell.
That's the vesicle. All right, we get it. Next is the centriole. Alright, you got two of these cats inside of a cell, the centrioles. They're necessary for cells to reproduce and keep moving for there to be more cells. What's necessary for there to be more businesses? Fragmented free market economy and use of supply and demand throughout. N-O. The one thing that you need to start new businesses is up-and-coming business entrepreneurs. So, inside the business that is the cell, there are these two cats, up-and-coming business entrepreneurs that are going to be like, you know, the frickin' nucleus is a good boss and everything, but if I had my own business, I'd tell you, it'd be a lot different. There'd be parties every Friday, and we'd have casual Wednesday when you could wear Hawaiian shirts and jeans if you wanted. And then there's this other central like, yeah, I agree completely. And then eventually they both get rich and powerful, and they're good buddies, and then one of them cheats on the other on his hot, foxy, red-headed girlfriend. Not a good idea. Now you've got the one of the centrioles who is sort of like committed to the place. He has this chick now because he was cheating on her, and he's gonna stay in the town that is the cell and stick with that business because it's been so good to him, you know? Sure, the nucleus is a jerk, but he's gotta stay there. The other centriole's like, you know what, you're not my good friend anymore. I don't know anybody here. The boss is a jerk. I gotta go. Needlessly complex scenario. So anyway, one of the entrepreneurs stays in the current cell, the other one splits apart from him and starts his own business, his own cell. There you go, bambizzle, centrioles, up-and-coming entrepreneurs. Jimmy, hit me up with some pics. Entrepreneurs, man, centrioles. Jive and hit cats. Hit the floor. Yeah. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the... So we're done with centrioles, and now we're moving on to the big man. The Mac Daddy. Super dude. The cool guy. The hip cat. The Mamba Jamba. The Monkey Man. We're moving on to the cell membrane. So, the cell membrane is all around the outside of the cell. A series of, well, it's a series of phospholipid bilayers that are polar on one side and non-polar on the outside, so they keep completely protected, but they're also, you can choose to be, what's the term I'm looking for? Selectively permeable! So they can bring some guys in and keep the bad guys out. Not unlike the nuclear membrane, but it's around the whole cell. So it's like, it's not one bodyguard, it's a series of guards.
Let it gradually build from the front to the back. All you can see is the sea of people, some white and some black. No matter what color, all that matters.
Really fat gods. Because they're made of lipids, fats, or waxes. They're gods made of wax, or steroids, if you... Maybe they're steroids, I don't know. Ninja don't need roids for a body like this. But there are a series of gods surrounding the cell, surrounding the business, keeping everybody out, and they all have proteins within them to let people in and keep people out. The proteins, which are, of course, robot tools. So they have robot lasers to keep out the bad guys, robot tunnels to get the good guys in. It's like, hey, come through this robot tunnel. Really? I don't know. That doesn't look very safe. Oh, really, it is. Robots made it. Good robots or bad robots, like in that movie I, Robot. They're good robots. Come in the cell and you'll see them. They're really cool guys. They're all up in the nucleolus and... I mean, there's one guy, Jack. He is a jack, but everybody else is cool. Anyway, the phospholipid bilayer, aka cellular membrane that surrounds us, is a series of diplomatic guards armed with robotic tools. Yeah, that'll be easy to remember. So, we've covered all of the animal cells, you know? That's everything that's in it, for practical purposes, everything that's in an animal cell, I just gave you, buddy. And you're going to memorize it, because if you don't, I'm going to come to your house and kill you from behind. Snap your neck like that. Maybe if I really don't like you, I'll wait in the shadows and come at you with a katana. So, we've covered one type of cell. But wait, there's two! We still have to do plant cell. A plant cell has everything that an animal cell has, and more. Not much more, really. They're plants, so they're pretty stupid. I didn't want to cover plant cells, really, because, back in time, there were these big creatures called dinosaurs. And you have the big mean ones that everyone wants to hear about that ate delicious meat all the time, they're called carnivores, and all the other animals were scared of them. Dark Tooth! And then you got these big, long-necked animals that just go up the trees and go... And that's just weird. I'm really gonna try and whiz through these ones. First, we have the cell wall, which is like there's something on the outside of the cell membrane. It's more stiff and more powerful. It keeps everything in space. It's like a wall.
Let's start. Living like a refugee, it's not easy. Yeah. You see,
Okay, a cell wall is a wall around the cell. You happy? If it really helps you to relate it back to a business, think of it as like a cubicle wall. Like that one thing that keeps everything else out. Most powerful protection you have that really isn't any protection at all, because they're just gonna peek over and say, hey, did you read Dilbert today? No. I didn't read Dilbert. I don't like it. I don't think it's funny. I don't like Garfield either. Lasagna? What's up with that? I don't like lasagna. Neither does Garfield. That's where all the hilarity comes in. You have a common bond with a cat. He also doesn't like lasagna. Oh my God, neither do I. That's hilarious. Chloroplast! These are little green things inside the cell, the plant cell, that are green. That's a very important part of them, is that they're green. They give them the green color. It's not that cool, but it's important. That green color, the chloroplasts, give the plant the ability to absorb sunlight and transfer it into super energy. Hey-ya! So, if we were going to say that a cell is analogous to a business, we would have to say that a plant cell is analogous to a business that is very environmentally conscious, because, it's a plant. And so what does an environmentally conscious business have that uses a generator to take in sunlight and turn it into energy? A solar energy generator. That's what a chloroplast is like! A solar energy generator!
Sun will shine, no matter what.
Large central vacuole. Alright, does anybody got any idea what a large central vacuole, what the purpose, why is it bigger in a plant cell? You, the nerdy kid in the back.
The ability of the vacuole to hold very large amounts of nutrients, water, and food allows for the plant's sedentary lifestyle, so that it won't have to go out and hunt for more food. It also allows the plant's growth in an outward motion to be controlled by letting in and letting out more water. Against the cell wall, it's completely necessary.
a central vacuole because it's a plant cell. It doesn't move around like an animal does, getting its food whenever it needs to. It needs to wait for sunlight and water to come to it, so it needs to have a bigger warehouse to store it in. There you go. There's everything. The whole enchilada, the whole delicious chipotle burrito with sour cream and guacamole on the side for you, little baby. So, Mr. Willem, I hope I've provided for you an accurate analogy of the animal cell and of an everyday business. I look forward to getting an A in your class soon. Here, ask a ninja!